Welcome to the Millennial Network Podcast. Now your host, Coach Danny Renee.
What's up, everyone? It's Coach Danny Renee, and this is the Millennial Network Podcast. Right here, we have Jay Jackson, who is a personal trainer, a beast trainer, right? So I'm going to apologize up front. The girl has been under the weather for like the past 3 weeks. So I got a halls in my mouth, so hopefully you guys can understand me so you don't be like, why Danny sound weird? What's that thing in her mouth? I got another one right here. Not advocating for the, podcast. Halls company, but I wanted to bring you guys some good content here. So Jay Jackson, like I said, you guys, he is a beast, online personal trainer. But I don't want to do, all the introduction with Jay. Like, tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get into online personal training?
That's what's up. Yo, Danny, first off, I appreciate you having me on. First off, starting out, I was just this kid, big head, slim body. Growing up, I moved with my pops when I was around about 13 years old, and I didn't have any self-confidence. I used to be super shy. I was kind of bounced around from household to household until I moved with my pops. And so I just didn't have any self-confidence. And when I moved in with him, he had a gym where he wanted me to start working out for football. But I wanted to start working out, honestly, and so I could talk to the girls in my school because I was in middle school at the time. And so as I started lifting weights, I started noticing my arms getting bigger. I noticed I started getting more attention at school, and I liked the attention. I liked it when my body started looking. I'm not sure if you've seen Spider-Man before, but that scene when he woke up the morning after he got bit by the spider, and Aunt May was like, "Hey, is everything okay upstairs?" And he was like, "Yeah, everything's good." I went through that moment. I went through that Peter Parker moment. And ever since then, I fell in love with exercise. I fell in love with fitness. And over the years, when I got to college studying exercise science at Georgia State University, I started realizing a lot of things that were going on in my family. Yep, Georgia State University. We had a family full of like type 2 diabetics, high blood pressure, heart disease. My grandfather died at like age 46, because he was morbidly obese. And I didn't understand how our lifestyle correlated with him, along with other people in our family who dealt with like health related issues until I got to college studying exercise science. And so when I noticed that, it became a deeper reason why for me to really just take on this fitness industry and just start helping people because I saw how helping people transform their body really helped them transform their life, how it impacted their family. And so that's what kind of got me into the whole fitness business. And it's been great ever since.
Okay. So first of all, I thought it was funny because you said the gym, and it's because, I know before you was like, you're from Atlanta. And the funny part about, people in the South is like, your mom, like being from Detroit was like, the gym. But you saying it just sounded like you was talking about somebody named Jim,
Oh.
J-I-M. I was like, that's where the accent come in, right? So you started studying exercise science. So we all know like anybody could become a personal trainer. You can go ahead and get your personal training certifications. I mean, I trained before, and I remember I got like the worst like personal training certification because I didn't want to spend all that additional time studying for something. Like I hate taking tests, right? But then you have exercise science, right? And then that's a different level. So like, tell me the difference between somebody like me that can go ahead and get a certification and become a personal trainer, and then someone studying exercise science.
Oh, that's a really good question. It's really depth. You have a lot of people, they could talk a little bit about every topic about fitness, but how deep can they go into the topic? That's the difference. And so there's nothing wrong with people who get like the weekend certifications because it gives them, some understanding on how it works. It's better than not knowing anything. It tells them how to do a squat, how to do push-ups properly, things like that, and maybe the nutrition aspect of it. But what I learned in college, we studied underneath ACSM. That stands for American College of Sports Medicine. And so I learned a lot about the exercise side of things, the anatomy, the physiology, even the nutrition. They talked about, we learned that nutrition aspect of it too. And then as far as the certifications, I studied some smaller ones, but then I've also studied NASM,
Mm-hmm.
National Academy of Sports Medicine. Those ACSM and NASM, those are like two pretty sought out certifications. And so it's really just the depth. Like you
Okay.
know, not just one or two things that you could post on social media just to kind of educate people. It's like the depth of, if people ask why does it work this way? You know a little bit more about why. You can explain it to where it makes sense to people. Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know like sometimes people when they do get their certification, I mean,
yeah,
the downside to the testing process is you'll like learn a little bit just to pass the test, but it doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean that the lesson is sticking with you. So I get what you're saying, and I do know
for
like
sure.
as an athlete, the people that typically end up training us as athletes to hit peak performance are usually like those people that study exercise science. What years did you go to Georgia State?
Ooh, man, you about to date me right here. I think I graduated 2015.
Okay.
My first year in college, I went to a junior college out in Arkansas, and
Mm,
after Arkansas, I transferred to Georgia State. I didn't get in the first time around. I didn't get
okay.
in, and so I went to, I think it was Atlanta Metropolitan College. I got my credits up, and then I reapplied to Georgia State, and walked on the football team all at the same time. And so I want to say
Wait,
it was
so
like 2012. It was the first year the football team
oh,
played
okay.
Alabama. Yeah,
So
I was on the
that
inaugural football team.
so then you came like the year I pretty much graduated then because I was like I wonder if we went at the same time because I ran track for Georgia State.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so yeah, that would have been interesting. So let's go back. So let's go into the social the uh the exercise science because um you mentioned like obviously like your family having a history of diabetics and different things like that, and I think
Mhm.
diabetes, I'm sorry, diabetes and heart disease, different thing, which is unfortunate. Like that goes down to the black community, but then you decided to really just immerse yourself into understanding of exercise science, right? So there's also another element to that when it comes to nutrition. So was that part of your studies? Did you kind of study that on the side, or you work with someone that kind of understand it? Like, how did you put it all together, considering your family background?
That's a really good question. So, at Georgia State, we had classes dedicated specifically to nutrition. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was nutrition one, and then it was like advanced nutrition or nutrition two, something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot about nutrition there, but it was really just book knowledge. It's a difference between book knowledge and application, like real life application. And so I got good enough to where I could help my clients, because even when I was at Georgia State University, I was already training people, and
Mm-hmm.
so I could help people lose weight. But I started noticing a lot of people, once we get them down to a certain weight, I didn't know how to help them get lean to the point where they could get rid of their stomach, because that was kind of one of the issues. They're like, Jay, well, I want to flatten my stomach. I want to maybe get some abs, and I knew enough about nutrition just to help people lose weight, but not get them to that next level. But it wasn't until I
Okay.
went into bodybuilding,
Okay.
because I started feeling kind of, how can I say it, insecure in a way. I felt like I was going to get embarrassed, because I started getting a lot more clients while I was training people, but I was only helping them lose a certain amount of weight. And so I said to myself, I got to change up. I got to start building my skill set on how to really help people just get lean as they want to be, like beach
Okay.
body lean if that's what they want. And so I hired a coach myself, and I stepped on stage as a men's physique bodybuilder. That's one of my trophies right here, and won a couple of them. And I started noticing some myths in the fitness industry, as far as like the myth of, hey, if you eat carbs, you're gonna get fat. My coach at the time, he had me eating rice and potatoes almost every meal, and my body was getting leaner and leaner every single week. And so I'm looking in the mirror, scratching my head. I'm like, how am I getting leaner eating carbs? I thought you get fat when you eat
Mm-hmm.
carbs. And so that's when I started learning like real life application on myself. Then after I stopped doing the bodybuilding, because it just took up too much of my time. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
being a business owner, like time and is money. Like if you can't,
Right.
you know, put in the time to make the revenue, hey, yeah, kind of SOL. But so I started figuring out how could I still keep the similar look that I had when I was in bodybuilding, but not have to put as much time in the gym and not have to
Okay.
eat 6 to 7 small tiny meals every day because it was too
A
repetitive, it was
lot.
too redundant. Yeah, it was a lot. And so I said to myself, if I can eat foods that I enjoy, the cheesecake, the steak, you know, Reese's cup every now and then, and still keep my lean look, that would just be perfect for me. And so I started testing some things that I learned from college and the things that I learned in bodybuilding. And I started realizing you don't really have to, you know, eat 6, 7 meals. You don't have to give up carbs. You don't have to spend hours in the gym to look fit, to look good naked if that's what you're going for. And I took those things, the things I was testing on myself, and I started sharing it with my coaching clients, and
Mm-hmm.
they started seeing results. There's one guy in particular. He dropped 48 pounds in
Mm.
um in 4 months. And prior to working with me, this guy had been working out for years in the gym, trying to do the nutrition, taking supplements, wasn't seeing the results he wanted, and a lot of it was predicated to the nutrition.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
we're not gonna skip over that. So first off, there's a lesson in that, and I want to say this because one of the main lessons in what you said is that when you got in, even though you have this exercise science training background, you have this nutrition certification. You still wanted to compete as an athlete, so you took the time to hire a coach, as well as you also mentioned a guy was in the gym and he was working out, probably looked good, decent, but he was incapable of hitting that additional level, right? Of the fitness, like his fitness goals. So he hired you as a coach. So the lesson I think is important to mention is that everybody that's great at something or they want to hit another level that a lot of times they're incapable of doing because most of us we're not spending time on the internet or reading books or getting certifications and different things like that to be the best personal trainer. So sometimes it is beneficial to hire that either you're going to immerse yourself in the studies or it's really good sometimes to hire that coach to hit that ultimate goal that we are incapable of hitting. So I wanted to point that out. But also, because what I said, another thing you kind of skipped over is you said that you went from bodybuilding and you were like, I don't want to eat all these different foods. And then the food is very redundant. And then now I'm still able to eat cheesecakes and different things like that. So we need to know the lesson in between. And the reason I say that is because my background, right? I am an athlete. I have a very athletic background, top athlete background, right? Throughout the years, especially the past several years, I've struggled. I would say I struggled a little bit with fitness and nutrition. As an athlete, probably know a lot of this nutrition you're talking about. Know how to go and work out and train, but I have injuries, and I didn't know how to work. I didn't know how to work out with those injuries because to me, I would rather not work out and not deal with the pain versus actually going and working out because I'm scared I'm going to make things a lot worse. And with
Yeah.
the bodybuilding, I hate so much food now because I tried to bodybuild. I can't stand chicken breast. I always hated oatmeal. I always hated brown rice. I can't stand a lot of fish, especially tilapia. A lot of that stuff is nasty to this point, and it's like most bodybuilders, especially the people that don't know what they're doing now, they know a little bit about nutrition. They're telling everybody to eat all this bland food with no seasoning, and this is how you're gonna get this shredded body. So I'm asking you, Mr. J. Jackson, what did you discover to still be able to walk around with that ideal body and still be able to enjoy a meal? Because at the end of the day, you still want to live life and enjoy food. Like food is fun.
Absolutely. And I'm about to give y'all some of the secrets right now. So
Okay.
it what I learned was it's all about energy management. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say, for example, you only ate 300 calories a day, right? If we eat only 300 calories a day, it doesn't matter if it's protein, it doesn't matter if it's a carb like bread or something like that, or if it was like fats, like the nuts that we eat, like almond nuts. If you only ate 300 calories, we'd lose weight. Like anybody would lose weight only eating that amount of calories. Calories, another
Mm-hmm.
word for it is just energy. But our energy would also suffer because we're in too much of a deficit, meaning we'd
Okay.
be tired all the time. We'd have headaches. We'd feel irritable. We wouldn't be able to focus. That's we have to understand that balance of how to manage our energy. All right. And so what happens sometimes is people do all these different diet plans, whether it's keto, the fasting, the Atkins, you have the carnivore diet. So many of them out here nowadays. But the reason why some people are able to drop weight on these diets is because they're in an energy deficit, aka a calorie deficit. And so sometimes people just don't know what the main leverage, what the main things are that's driving the results. And it's the
Mm-hmm.
energy. And so knowing what's that balance going to be for each and every one of us, because all of us are going to be a little bit different. And so that's what I realized after I got done doing the bodybuilding. I said, okay, how much am I eating on a daily basis? And I can't remember. I think at the time it may have been 1,600 calories or something like that, 1,500 calories. But I was
16,
dividing that up.
15. Wait a minute. Six. You were eating 16, 1,500 calories a day. You?
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
tall? Big? How tall and big are you? Like, what's your size? Because that don't.
I was
That
right.
sound like you were in a deficit.
Oh, absolutely. I was in a deficit.
Okay.
At the time, I was maybe like 175. Right now, I'm
Okay.
190. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm 5'10". Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah, you were in a deficit. Starving yourself.
right, right, right. Starving myself. And so, by cutting that, let's say it was 1,600, I'm dividing that 1,600 into 6, 7 meals. So those are
Okay.
small meals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm just eating them throughout the entire day. And so, after I got done doing bodybuilding, I said, well, let me just split it up into 2 or 3 meals a day. I was just
Okay.
tired of eating so many meals. And I started noticing I was staying satisfied a lot longer. And so I didn't have to eat every hour and a half or 2 hours. It satisfied me for 3, sometimes even 4 hours. And I was able to gauge the pattern of how long it would take for me to get hungry again. And I said, okay, well, if I eat this big of a meal, if I eat 400 calories or 500 calories, it's going to sustain me for 3 or 4 hours. And then I'd eat
Okay.
my next big meal. And then after that next meal, I'd go work out. And by me doing that workout, I'm burning energy. I'm using effort and energy doing that workout. And so I'm going to need something a little bit sooner than 3 to 4 hours. And so I drink like a protein shake or I eat a protein bar just to give me a little bit of energy before I eat that next big meal. And so that was the shift, the mental shift that I made that allowed for me to be able to transform my body and just keep the look, without having to,
Okay.
kill myself in the kitchen eating all these meals. And so yeah, that's one of the big secrets for sure.
Okay. Now, out of
Yeah.
all those meals, because you even said 2, 3 meals, I would assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, are you to that point where it's like you're putting vegetables and or fruit in each meal? Do you have fruit in between? What about that last meal? Excuse me. What about that last meal at nighttime? Carbs. Are you monitoring that? Because I do know, like, as far as like carbs, when you go to bed, I guess the saying is your body burns the most fat when you sleep. So having carbs before bed, slow it down. Like, how strategic are you when it comes to that?
Well, I try to break it down where it's really simplified for people because
Okay.
everybody's not a fitness professional like I am. And so getting all into detailed with the macros, super detailed with, how many proteins and carbs need to be between each meal, it's kind of hard for the everyday individual, especially an entrepreneur, when we're dealing with so many other moving pieces that we have to balance, like as far as focusing. And so I tell people, like my members, we got to figure out what's that number, what's that amount of calories that we're going to eat per day. Okay. And if we hit that number, if we hit that metric, we're going to drop weight. And then after we know that number, now it's how much protein do we need to consume on a daily basis? Because protein and overall daily calories, those are the two most important parts. Because if we want to maintain muscle mass, if we want to be able to recover quickly after workouts and between workouts, we need to have an adequate amount of protein. And then protein is also thermogenic. It helps, it's a thermogenic food. So it helps us increase our metabolism and burn more calories. And so knowing those two things alone, let's say, for example, I need to eat 180 grams of protein a day, I can divide that 180 up into 3 or 4 meals, however many meals I'm going to
Okay.
eat. Let's say I'm going to eat 1,600 calories. I divide that 1,600 calories up into 3 to 4 meals, however many meals I'm going to eat throughout the day. You hit those two numbers, you'll drop weight as long as you make sure that you're eating the right amount for you to drop weight,
And you
right?
said what's the two numbers? Did you say one was a calorie number? Like what was the two numbers again?
Yeah. So your overall daily amount of calories, that's
Mm-hmm.
how much you eat overall. The things you may drink. So if you're drinking coffee and let's say you have some type of creamer on it or something like that, that's calories, you know. And so
Yeah.
a lot of people they're eating healthy, because I help a lot of people, very sophisticated people. But if you don't track these things, you can be eating healthy, but you can find yourself gaining weight. If you look in the
Yeah.
mirror, you're like, man, how's my stomach getting bigger? What in the world
Yeah.
going on here? I can't wear my clothes like I used to no
A
more.
lot of vegans going through that.
Oh, geez, don't get me started on them vegans. Nothing against them, but they eat a ton of carbs, and it's really
Yeah.
hard to eat an adequate amount of protein, just primary protein sources when you're a vegan. And so it's super restricted. You got to be really disciplined on that type of a diet.
So you basically saying like track your calories and track your macros. Is that basically the lesson I
Yeah,
got from that? Okay. Now,
right.
how
So
does someone
pro-
determine that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so protein is one of the macros. You have your
Okay.
fats and your carbs. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just simplified it as far as like what's the main macro you need to be aware of, the
Mhm.
protein, and then you need to be aware of your overall daily calorie intake. And then from there, let's say for example, you say, okay, I'm gonna eat 40% of my overall calorie intake is gonna be towards protein. Then the other 60%, we can divide that up into the carbs and fats that we eat. Now, the reason I say it that way, I give you some flexibility is because some people, like myself, I prefer to have a little bit more fat in my diet and less carbs. And then on days where I might be a little bit more stressed, like I'm just doing a lot of work, I may drop my fat intake and increase my carb intake. And so
Mhm.
it just helps me balance things out. And everyone's a little bit different.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
now, how am I determining the calories and amount of macros? Is it the goal weight that I want to be at, or is it my current weight?
So it's a couple of ways you could do it. So I have a
Okay.
formula that I use. Yeah, so they have different calculators online out there, but sometimes it can get confusing for people. And I've tried
Mhm.
all of them. I was trying to figure this stuff out on my own. And so one of the ways that I use it is I say you multiply your current body weight times 10 to 12. If you want to get more aggressive with your fat loss, you multiply your current body weight times 10. If you want to go a little bit more moderate, you multiply your body weight by 11 or 12, and that's going to give you a certain number. So let's say it's 1,800 calories. That's the amount of calories that you're going to eat to start dropping weight on a daily basis. And then from there, once you know that number, you can multiply that number times 40%. That's going to let you know your daily protein intake, right? That's
Okay.
going to let you know your daily protein intake, and more than likely it's going to let you know it in calories. But then you just divide that number by 4, and that'll let you know your protein intake in grams. So I
Mm.
know I know everybody's not like a mathematician on here, but
I mean, they
these
can
are the
go
things
back
I
and
do for my
rewind it.
clients.
Rewind it.
Right,
Okay,
right,
awesome. So, so it sounds like you have a wealth of knowledge, and then now we have these clients that's
right.
being able to use you, consult with you with this knowledge. So, how did you get into online coaching? Like, tell me about um, your first, I guess, trainee. Your first
Mm.
client to like where you're at now. How did that process grow?
Oh, that's awesome. So I was training a lot of people in person. And
Mm-hmm.
like I told you earlier, I jumped into bodybuilding because I noticed that I was helping my members get some results, but not like
Mm-hmm.
mind blowing results. And
Okay.
then there was this one guy reached out to me on Facebook. His name was John Thomas, and I actually spoke about him a little bit earlier too. And he jumped on. We got on a Zoom call. We chatted. And he was telling me how frustrated he was with, trying so many different diets, so many different workout programs, taking all the different supplements, and he just wasn't dropping the weight. He'd lose a little bit, lose 5 pounds, gain back 10, lose 10, gain back 15 or 12. So it was nothing really just consistent for him. And so he jumped on board, but he wasn't in person. He was all online. And so I gave him the game plan that I would use for a lot of my in-person people, but I just adjusted it to his situation, to how many
Okay.
times he could work out on a weekly basis. Based on where his weight was. I think he was at, 250 or something like that. And we got him down to like 202. And so I basically mapped it out to where it was personalized for him. And, week after week, he was dropping weight. And as he started dropping that weight, I was like, man, this guy's about to crush it. He 1 month in, he had dropped 20 pounds. And so
Man.
I knew, I said, he's dropping more weight than my in-person people. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, because sometimes what happens is people can use the in-person as kind of like I guess in a way, a crutch. And like, okay, I'm going to train with Jay, and so I know I'm going to get results. But if they're not following the nutrition regimen, they're not going to see any
Yeah.
results. And that was
Exactly.
one of the biggest things he was doing. He was following the nutrition regimen, and he was dropping on a weekly basis. And after 4 months, we jumped on a member success type interview because I wanted to post a story out there. And he started telling me about how it impacted his life. He was like, man, Jay, my wife can't keep her hands off me. Jay, I don't want to put a basketball goal in my backyard. Me and my son, we playing basketball now. I'm running on the football field with my son when he playing football. And I'm like, wow, this is way bigger than just losing weight. And
Mm-hmm.
so as I started seeing how it was impacting his life, his family's life, how much more confidence he had, it just became an obsession for me. Like I love it. It's really like a true passion
Okay.
of mine. Yeah.
So you started with him online, but you still had these other clients like in person. So do you still do people like do you still have clients in person, or is it all like online now?
I still do both. Yeah, the
You
majority of
still
my
both.
business is online, but I have a very small group of in person. Like right now, I can't even take on anybody, even if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just like to have both aspects of it, where I'm helping some people in person, but I can make a bigger impact with people because with the online because I can help so many more people at scale.
Gotcha. Okay. So I do
Yeah.
know for personal trainers, right? There's this
Hmm.
there's a thing kind of it's kind of like with real estate. A lot of people are like, oh, real estate look easy. Let me go ahead and get this real estate license because I can make a lot of money. Same thing with personal
Hmm.
trainers because I remember when I first um got into personal training, that was like my first like crack at entrepreneurship. And to be honest, I was like, yo, this ain't for me because one, people were hitting me up because of how I look, and then they didn't want to pay anything. They were like,
Right.
I guess they expected me really to make minimum wage to train them. But on top of training them, they didn't have any realistic goals. They had these very cosmetic goals. I just want abs, or I just want a butt, or I just want my leg. It was like
Hmm.
they, what is it, compartmentalize their body. And I
Right.
think it's great that we all want to look great cosmetically, but there's also a certain health aspect to it. So same thing with personal trainers. There's a lot of personal trainers. They're like, I look good. I'm gonna get into personal training and I'm gonna start training, but they don't understand that sales and the business aspect on how to grow. So we got these in person clients, and now we have this at least starting off with this one client online. Tell us about
Hmm.
the sales. Like, did everything come from word of mouth? Did you go out and prospect, market? Like, how do we grow J Jackson business?
Whew. Okay. So I'll take you back to when I first started my career in LA Fitness. I was training at
Okay.
LA Fitness, and then I was, I'm not gonna say slaving away, but I was in there day and night, like from sun up to sundown, and making maybe 2 grand a month. And I know I was working well over like 70 hours a week. It was crazy. But I was able to get those reps, the repetition, because the repetitions and the immersion is what helped me get competent and confident with how to train people in person. And I want to say maybe 5 months in, my mom reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I just went to this boot camp and met this guy." And she introduced us and he became a business partner of mine. And from there, I started training people in Buckhead, Atlanta, at their condos, at their homes. They got big, huge houses out here in Buckhead. And then from there, I transitioned into this company called, it was like a network marketing company, MLM. One of
Okay.
my college football coaches, because at the time I was in college, and he exposed me to this network marketing company. And we were selling like protein shakes or something like that. And I started to develop an understanding about sales.
Okay.
And I started pulling away from personal training a little bit. So I went on a little bit of a journey of personal development when I jumped into this network marketing company. And that exposed me to storytelling, how powerful storytelling is. And about 2 years in, the company went backwards. And so did my business. So did my revenue. Like I hit rock bottom. And I literally had less than 30 days to make enough money, because I didn't have enough money at the time, to make enough money to take care of my bills. I had a $100,000 car note that I had to pay for, car
Hundred
insurance. I had to
thousand
take
dollar
care of
car
everything.
note.
Well, $100,000 car, but the car note for $100,000 car.
Wait, no, that's why. Even if you said it wrong, I think everybody knew what you was talking about. $100,000 car.
Right.
Oh, so you was looking good in that car then. Okay.
Oh, I brought in a lot of revenue. When you talk about
Okay.
things that drive revenue, believe it or not, status is one of them. Like
Yeah.
I totally understand why some people buy these different types of cars. Like I'm a car person, but
Okay.
I didn't know that the car was going to do what it did for me in that network marketing
Well, what
company.
did it
And it was
do?
kind of
Come
like
on,
a
talk to us. What did it do?
oh geez, I went from literally making like 2-3 grand a month to making $12,000 a month in the network marketing company. You know, I
Because
was
your
the
car.
youngest, and that was one of the reasons for sure, because I had a story. You know,
Right.
they see this 22-year-old driving around in $100,000 convertible car,
Mm-hmm.
BMW. They're like, how in the world is this possible? And so
Okay.
a lot of people became very intrigued and curious. They're like, man, if this young kid can do it, I can do it too. And
Okay.
so a lot of people started joining the company. Well, in my particular organization, in the network marketing company, because if you know anything about network marketing, you have like the downlines and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I think at one point I had over 300 people in my
Oh,
organization
okay.
underneath
So
me.
you were really
And
learning sales then. That's good.
we were moving and shaking. But the company went backwards. And
Okay.
I literally had less than 30 days to rack up cash. And I just remember just feeling so defeated, just like embarrassed. Nobody didn't know, but I felt, me personally, I felt embarrassed. I was like, how did I let myself get to this point? And reached out to my pops, got $250. I put together a game plan on how I was going to relaunch my personal training career. Got a designer to make some flyers for me, some personal training flyers, and then I got somebody to got somebody to make my flyers. And to be honest, even though I'm a trainer, I was on my last, and so
Okay.
I bought some honey buns, bought some ramen noodles, put some gas in my car, and I was hitting the streets out there in Buckhead by Lenox
Man.
Mall, Phipps Plaza, Whole Foods, and I was passing out like 150 flyers a day. And
Mm.
I was able to generate enough cash to relaunch my career in fitness, because I
Okay.
literally didn't have anything to my name. And I think within that 24, 25 days, I made like 8,200 or something. It was like 8,000 something dollars. And then from there, I just carried that momentum back into my fitness career of training people.
Man.
Um, and then not long after, I started hiring trainers, and I just wasn't able to just make the type of impact I wanted to make. I started, doing the bodybuilding, and that's when I started posting. And as I started posting on social media like Instagram and Facebook, people started reaching out to me. Hey, how can you help me? Can you help me too? And that's when the guy John Thomas reached out, and I started helping him. And I said, man, I'm seeing his results. Maybe I can make this into a real thing. Maybe I can help more people. Maybe I can get more transformations. And every time I see my members' transformations, I love it. And so just doing that, and throughout the journey, the skills were just learning sales. Reading
Mm.
books like by Dan Kennedy about sales, marketing, copywriting.
Okay.
Reading books by there's this book called No. I can't remember his name right now, but
Go for no or
big on
something
say
or no.
yeah. Well, I can't remember where it is. Oh, here it is, right here. Uh, Jim Kemp is one of my
Okay.
favorite books on
Oh,
sales
it's
right here.
called no.
Yep, No. Yeah, he has another
I'm
one
gonna have to
too,
check
but
that book out.
this is you can revisit this book like every quarter, and you'll learn a new gem on sales.
Good, good.
And what I've learned just being in the fitness industry and going online, it's really a personal development game. I had
Mm-hmm.
to really become a lot more self-aware, learn how to express myself, my messaging, learn who I want to help, and how to make my message relevant to them. And that requires sales. That requires self-awareness. It requires understanding how to market, and it requires developing yourself. And
Okay.
so it's definitely a skill set outside of just training people. Training people is like 10% of it. That's the easy part.
Mm.
Learning the marketing, the sales, the just everything. How to develop people. That's where it's really at.
I think that's a great story, and I hope that you share that story. Not think that is a great story, and I hope you share that story a lot. And the reason why I say that is because when I asked that question, I was hoping you weren't like, I posted a picture of how it looked. Then one person came to me, then I just started getting clients because I kept posting, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's actually dope if somebody's business grow by just them posting how good they look, right? But
Yeah.
I think there's a very small percentage of someone actually being that lucky because there's still work that goes into it. Like I use like the real estate example in every business for all those new millennial entrepreneurs out there in every business, we all have to do that part that we hate, which is the prospecting. Prospecting is
Mm-hmm.
basically going up to people. In his case, Jay's case, he used a form of marketing. Guerrilla marketing, sometimes they'll call it that, but he used a form of marketing basically to sell himself. And he also mentioned the importance of having a story. Went out there and selling himself. I'm pretty sure, you talk to people, you may even have conversations. Some people probably didn't even want to deal with you. So you had to go through that rejection. That's the part that so many people say, I don't like sales, but yet they want to be an entrepreneur. That's the part that, I hate it. I hate talking to people who are like, hey, this is my business, but it's all it's all required because once you have those conversations and you're selling yourself, then you're able to have clients that's sticking with you. Now they can speak to your experience, speak to your expertise, and then that's when you start growing a business to where it's word of mouth, to where you start getting referrals and stuff like that. So now you have these online clients. Tell us about the online portion. Like if I watch this and I want to sign up with you with your online business, what should I expect versus dealing with you in person?
That's a good question. So a lot of it's the same. One of the biggest differences though is, well, it's really not even a difference. You got to be disciplined. The people who I help online, they're familiar with working out already. They're already
Mm-hmm.
familiar with, navigating through the gym, or if they have a gym at home, they already have the equipment, but they don't know how to use it the right way. They know what to do. They know they need to work out, but they don't know how to structure their workouts and how to structure their nutrition in a way where it supports their lifestyle, where it supports their goals, where it supports the foods that they enjoy eating. Like there's some trainers out here. I've had clients who've reached out to me and joined. They're like, man, this trainer had me eating chicken and peanut butter. I'm like, chicken and peanut butter? What is that?
That's
That doesn't even
crazy.
sound healthy.
Right. Sounds
So,
gross. Sound like a
yeah.
dog. Like, what? You feed me
Oh,
dog
oh,
food?
geez. I've heard some of everything. Some trainers, they tell the clients, hey, if you don't work out at 5 a.m., you won't lose weight. I'm like, why won't you
Mm.
lose weight? What if you did it in the afternoon or in the evening? There's no difference. As long as you
Mm-hmm.
put in the work, and you have some structure around what markers you need to hit, as far as like the calorie intake, the protein intake, how many workouts you need to do based on your schedule and the amount of time that you have. And so a lot of what I do is I'm helping people gain a lot of clarity on the
Mm-hmm.
structure. And so I'm teaching them the how and not just the what. And that helps people go from just working out to being able to train with a purpose when they hit the
Mm-hmm.
gym.
Train with a
And
purpose. Oof.
absolutely. And it just gives them confidence because they're able to reach out to me directly whenever they have questions. It's not like some companies out here where they have to send in an email and it may take a day or two before they get a response. They're able to hit me up and get a response that day. And we also have a community where they get the encouragement, the support, the accountability. We do the check-ins and the weigh-ins and the progress photos. And so it holds people accountable. And when you know you got somebody watching you, you're more likely to go out and get the job done versus
Right.
if it was just you just like, okay, should I go work out today? Nah, I'll just wait till tomorrow. And
Mm-hmm.
then that 2 days turns into a week versus if you have a community and you have a coach watching over what you're doing, you jump in there, you see somebody just check in, yo, I didn't feel like working out today, but I did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they drop like some fire emojis or something like that. That's gonna get you a little bit more excited to go work out, a little bit more motivated because you're like, man, if they can do it, I can do it too. Let me go
Okay.
get it in. So you just have that community. So that's one of my biggest things, unity. I feel like so many people try to do it themselves. They have a lot of ego, or and they just try to feel like, okay, if I can't do it by myself, if I gotta get it from somebody, I'm just gonna go to YouTube. That's a lot of ego because
Yeah.
you're gonna spend hours, maybe days, maybe weeks trying to figure out how to structure everything on YouTube University versus just going to somebody with the proven track record. They got the receipts, they have the results. And if they let you know that they're confident that they can help you, I believe that's the way to go because I'm also a product of coaching. Like I invest a lot of money in the coaching on an annual basis. And so that I can
Amazing.
just leapfrog my way through
Amazing.
success.
So you mentioned the community. Are they getting on video with you and you're training them, or they're more so like consulting with you, like, hey, this is what I should do today. This is what I should eat today.
That's a good question. So when people join, like before they even join, we have to jump on a Zoom call, and they see me face to face, and so they know I'm a real person because I know the internet's kind of crazy. But
Right.
after they join, I have a members only coaching app, and they have to fill out this questionnaire. I send them an invitation to join. They have to fill out this questionnaire, let me know what type of exercise equipment they have, how many days a week they can work out, how much time they can work out. So let's say you can only work out for 45 minutes. I'm not going to give you a 2 hour long workout routine. It just won't work. You know, you're going to let me know what type of foods you prefer to eat on a weekly basis. And so that way, when I create your meal plan and your workout routine, you're eating foods you prefer to eat, and I'm just giving you structure around how much of it to eat, all the way down to the ounce, all the way down to the cup. And so that way there's zero guesswork, and y'all you have to do is just execute. And whenever you have questions, they're able to reach out to me directly. As far as the training part of it, they see video demonstrations of me doing each and every exercise,
Nice.
but it's structured in a way where they're doing exercises based on the equipment that they have and based on their level of fitness. So some of the people
Ma-
I have, for example, they can't do squats, and some of them have like arthritis, and so there's other exercises like a leg press exercise, or I may have them do like leg extensions or something like that, just based on each person's situation, and so that way they can still get results without feeling like, oh, because I can't do this exercise, I'm broken. It's not meant for me to get
mm.
in shape, you know. So I'm able to give them alternatives.
So the beauty in that is that you
Yeah.
specifically tailor even your online training to people that have different health issues and also people that have different dietary issues. So going into the dietary, I think that's something not talked about a lot is you have your ectomorph, your endomorph, and your mesomorph. So you have these different body types where some people are just super slim and it's harder for them to gain weight and bulk up. You have some people that's, they're on the thicker side where it's harder for them to slim down. And then you have the ones that's just, they can gain weight, lose weight. They can have a mixture of all of that. So when it comes to training, how do you we already kind of know what is it? I think the mesomorph. When you got the slimmer person and you got the bigger person, how do you help them achieve their goals, knowing that they do have a different body type?
That's a really good question because that's the book side of it. That's the research side of it. But
Mm-hmm.
they don't talk too much about the preference side of it. Because
Okay.
let's say somebody's a mesomorph and the book says they need to eat more carbs. But they're like, Jay, I just don't like eating all these carbs. Right? And so are you gonna tell that person, hey, well, this is what you have to do. If you don't do it, you're not gonna be able to get the results. And me knowing as much as I know about nutrition, it's just simply not true. And so a lot of it stems back to how much are they eating over the course of a day. Because even if a person says, even if the book says, hey, this person needs to eat more starchy carbs, and they're like, I don't want to eat a whole lot of starchy carbs. What I can do is I can say, well, seeing that you don't want to eat as much starchy carbs, we're going to increase your protein intake, or we're going to increase your fat intake to to take place of the carb intake that you're not consuming. And so that way they're still eating a certain amount of calories on a daily basis to where they
Mm-hmm.
can still feel satisfied but drop body fat at the same time. And so I really don't talk too much about the endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph simply
Mm-hmm.
because everyone lives a different life and they have different food preferences. And you can still get the job done if you know the main basis of like the protein intake and the calorie intake.
Okay. So going into like
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, we got people that's working full time jobs.
Yep.
Then you have some people that have a business on the side. Now we got to throw in time to kind of like meal prep or eat, and you have time to also work out. How? What advice do you give to that busy professional that's really trying to do it all?
Mental preparation.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times you have some trainers who say, well, you need to meal prep your meals for like 3 or 4 days at a time. And I've done that because back when I was in bodybuilding, I did it. But I didn't like eating 3 or 4 day old food. I just didn't
Right.
like the taste of it. I want my food to be fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people it helps a lot with our mental bandwidth because we deal with a lot. We make a lot of decisions on a daily basis. If we go into the next day knowing what are our top three foods, and this is what I call it the rule of three.
Okay.
What are your top three proteins that you enjoy eating? What are your top three vegetables that you enjoy eating? What are your top three starchy carbs that you enjoy eating, or just carbs like vegetables and fruits and things like that? All those are carbs, but you got to know what your top three are, because now on any given day, let's say for breakfast, you already know what your top three proteins are that you can pick and choose from. Let's say you're busy, you're on the go, you can't cook. You know your top three restaurants that you can pick and choose from.
Mm,
That's whether it's close to your house or whether it's close to work
okay.
or close on the way to where you're getting ready to go. As long as you have those three different options, whenever you find yourself really really busy, and then you have to task shift and going into okay, man, it's time to eat now. You don't have to worry about like, what am I gonna eat? I'm starving. I need something to eat. I'm hungry. You already know. You're like, all right, I got Chick-fil-A over here. I got Chipotle over here. I got Zoe's Kitchen right over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're able to pick and choose where you're gonna eat at, and then you say, okay, what are the three things that I'll eat on this menu that are gonna get me to where I want to be at? That's gonna keep me in check and in line to be able to hit my goals. And so as long as you have that preparation, that way when that day comes, you don't have to worry about waiting until you're starving, because once we're starving, we're not gonna eat the right thing. We gonna eat
Right.
whatever we want to eat, and most
That's
times
very
go have some
true.
sugar in it. And so
Or
I
a lot of
tell people,
fat, or the worst
or a
carbs.
lot of
Boy.
fat. There you go. Or they're gonna be snacking all day long. They're like, I don't know how I'm gaining weight. I'm just snacking. But they snacking all day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's way easier to like gain weight because we can't track all that. If we're just snacking, we're grabbing, a handful of nuts every other hour. We're grabbing some chips every other hour. We're grabbing some gummy bears every other hour. It's almost a given a person is going to gain weight if they do that. But if they have some preparation on, all right, I'm going to eat 3 meals a day. and maybe a protein shake or a protein bar or a cup of fresh fruit. And then you have your three proteins that you're choosing from, your three vegetables that you're choosing from. And every meal should have some type of protein in it, And so as long as you have that type of preparation and structure, that's the way I simplify it in my mind, and for my coaching clients, it makes their day flow a lot easier. And so that way
Okay.
we're not doing so much thinking about nutrition.
Now, is there a top 3 workouts or something in that as well, or how do we throw the
Top,
workouts in there?
yeah, so I have my members, they train on average 3 to 4 days a week.
Okay.
And let's say, for example, they're training 3 days a week. I have them do either full body all 3 days, full body strength training workouts, because I tend to see a lot of people, they just do a lot of cardio. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with cardio. It's good for your mental health, it's good for your heart health, but a lot of people end up being skinny fat because they're not lifting weights. And if you want to look good naked, baby, you got to lift some weights.
You need to get that on a shirt because I've seen that on your Facebook too. You look good naked or something like that. That should be a shirt.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna put that together.
I'm
Appreciate
telling you
that.
that'll be a good shirt. It would be trending. Gave you a business idea. That's another stream of income right there.
Right, that's facts. That's facts. And so, and so they would either do full body days, all 3 days,
Mhm.
or I would have them do an upper, lower, full body
Okay.
workout split. And so that's one of them. And then let's say, for example, they're doing 4 days a week. This is how many times I work out on average. Some weeks I might work out a little bit more, but my like foundation, my bare minimum, 4 days a week. And I'll do 2 upper body workouts, 2 lower body workouts, and I'll hit my abs, twice a week. And so that way I have that structure. I know when I'm going into my week, here's what I'm going to do. That's preparation. I'm not having to guess on it. I know I'm going to work out in the afternoon, early afternoon. It's going to give me that daily energy bump because I've done so much mental work in the morning time. I want to use that workout to optimize my energy, and so I can
Okay.
get back to work and be able to do more. And then the foods, knowing when I'm going to eat those meals. You have some trainers, they say, well, you got to eat at these times to lose fat. It doesn't matter what time you eat for fat loss. It matters what time you eat for energy management,
Mhm.
because if we don't eat for long stretches of time, our energy level is going to drop. And then when we do eat, if we eat too much, we're going to have like this sluggish, tired, like I'm ready to go to sleep kind of feeling. So,
Yeah.
it's just balancing out that energy management of when we're going to eat those meals. What's the best time for us? Because we all wake up and go to sleep at different times of the day. And that's where having like a coach or professional to kind of help you gauge, hey, here's when you need to eat your meals based on when you're waking up, when you're going to sleep, based on how much food you need to eat, things like that.
Amazing. And I know in
Yeah.
business you typically hear the term scale up. So with you being still in person a little bit and you have online, you have your system. What's your goal from here on out as far as like scaling up your business and just growing?
Yeah. So my next step, I'm actually getting ready to hire me some setters to help me out, some VA setters to help me out with
Okay.
booking calls and things like that. But my mission right now is to have 300 members on a
Okay.
monthly basis. Getting rid of gut. That's one of my biggest things because I have a book called Gut to Abs. So I want to help people
Amazing.
get rid of belly fat. And then the second part of it is helping people drop 25 pounds or more. So my mission I want to help 300 people on a monthly basis get rid of the gut and drop 25 plus. That's my focus. And so that's what scaling up looks like for me.
I love it. And how does everyone reach you? They want to get some online training or even well you say you can't do personal, but how do we get onto your platform and get some help from Mr. J Jackson? I don't know why I'm calling you Mr. J Jackson. It's just I don't know, it's sticking right now. But how do we get in contact
Right,
with
right.
you?
Instagram is like my main platform. I'm on Facebook too, but you can find me on Instagram at J Jackson Official. That's JAY Jackson Official. If you went on Facebook, it'd be the same thing. Facebook.com/, J Jackson Official. Yeah, but
Oh,
those are the main
nice.
two platforms right now.
Okay. I mean, you share some good stuff. Like you share the entrepreneurship side of personal
Yeah.
training. You show this the community side. I think is very important just for any business, because unity, we're going towards the same goal, I think is very beneficial. And then, I mean, you share the aspect of, you know where you're at right now, you know where you started, you know where you're at right now, and you know where you want to go. And I think that's the importance with just any business models. We all got to start somewhere. We all going to have bumps in the road, but being able to learn from those and know exactly where we want to go. So I appreciate you for sharing that. I appreciate you for getting on to the Millennial Network podcast. I've been holding in this cough this whole time, so I've been doing pretty good. Do you have any last final words?
I would say just focus on not putting so much pressure on yourself, but focus on just growing. Continue to just be a better person. Like, a better person requires you wanting to take care of yourself, respecting yourself, not for other people, but just for yourself, and figuring out what that reason why you want to get better. There's this guy, Jim Rohn, who I listen to. He mentored Tony Robbins, and he talks about the people who do well are the people who have enough reasons to do well. And
Ooh.
so if you figure out what those reasons are, that's going to get you a little emotional, it's going to get you a little uncomfortable to want to take action. That's Mr. Action Jackson. That's what a lot of people call me now. But
Mr. Action
you
Jackson.
want to, yeah, Mr. Action Jackson. You got to figure out what those reasons are. It might be you want to look good naked. It might be you want to be that positive example for your family members, your children. You want to shift the generational curses of, health issues, or not having money in your family, or not being able to travel, whatever it might be. You got to have enough reasons, and that'll put you into that state of mind of like, it's time to go get it. It's time to go make it happen.
I love it. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much for blessing the Millennial Network podcast. Like, you definitely share a wealth of knowledge, and I could tell that you know your stuff, because, I mean, I even learned some things. I mean, I'm not supposed to know everything, even with the fitness and, athletic background. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for, getting on and blessing the Millennial Network. Again, y'all,
Awesome.
This is Coach Danny Renee with the Millennial Network podcast. Remember, where your network equals your net worth. And we are out.